Britain's entry into the First World War in 1914 was a pivotal event in modern history, marking the beginning of a conflict that would dramatically reshape the international order and the contours of the 20th century. The decision to join the war was not taken lightly and was the culmination of a complex set of factors that involved diplomatic alliances, military strategies, economic interests, and national security concerns. The origins of Britain's involvement can be traced back to its geopolitical strategy and foreign policy in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, which focused on maintaining a balance of power in Europe. This policy was designed to prevent any single nation from becoming too dominant, which could threaten Britain's own security and interests. The Entente Cordiale with France in 1904 and the Anglo-Russian Convention of 1907 were part of these strategic alignments. These agreements were not formal alliances but marked a significant shift from Britain's splendid isolation stance towards more cooperative international relationships. Key decisions that led Britain into the war included its reaction to the German invasion of Belgium. Germany's plan, known as the Schlieffen Plan, involved quickly invading France through Belgium, a neutral country. The violation of Belgian neutrality provided a clear casus belli for Britain, driven by both legal and moral obligations under the 1839 Treaty of London, which had affirmed Belgian neutrality and which Britain had guaranteed. Importantly, this also provided a more palatable public justification for entering the war than merely citing strategic or imperial interests. The political and diplomatic context in the lead-up to World War I was intensely complicated. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary by a Serbian nationalist in June 1914 had set off a chain reaction among the major European powers. In this tense atmosphere, Germany's support for Austria-Hungary against Serbia drew Russia and its allies, including France, into conflict based on their mutual defense treaties. Britain's own entanglements with these nations meant it was deeply implicated in these continental matters, despite its initial reluctance to become involved militarily. The consequences of Britain entering the war were profound both during and after the conflict. Militarily, British involvement brought considerable resources to bear against Germany and its allies, including troops from across the empire, significant naval power, and financial support. This was critical on the Western Front and elsewhere. Domestically, it led to unprecedented changes in British society, including mass mobilization for war effort, shifts in gender roles due to women entering the workforce en masse, and significant political changes including moves towards greater democracy post-war. The long-term impact of World War I on Britain was significant. The war led directly to major political changes within Britain itself, including electoral reforms, such as extending voting rights to women over 30 in 1918, as part of recognizing their contribution during the war years. Economically, it burdened Britain with massive debts and accelerated its decline as a premier global economic power, an aspect that would influence its post-World War II decolonization process. Moreover, socially and culturally, the loss experience birthed an era marked by mourning and reflection, influencing arts and literature profoundly. In terms of foreign relations, post-war negotiations at Versailles had long-lasting impacts on international diplomacy for decades to come. The punitive measures imposed on Germany are often cited as one of the contributing factors leading towards World War II. Furthermore, Britain's role at these negotiations reinforced its position as one of the leading global powers, albeit set on a path towards gradual decline, particularly evident during the latter half of the 20th century. Understanding why Britain entered World War I involves acknowledging that no single factor dominated but rather an interplay of various elements reflecting broader tensions within Europe at that time. Nationalism growing, militarism, colonial rivalries, economic competitions were all part of this larger picture which made Europe ripe for conflict even before Ferdinand's assassination acted as a catalyst. In summary, Britain entered World War I driven by existing international commitments, concerns over national security, strategic imperatives, moral obligations, tied up with maintaining European stability while protecting its empire. Overarching geopolitical strategies shaped over decades played out dramatically with far-reaching consequences, impacting not just Europe but reshaping world politics, economic societies, cultures well into future generations. creating legacies still discernible today.